Yes, I was.
Experience would teach that any time you walk upon the ground, you may affect what's already there, right?
No, not in this case. I was careful where I walked.
I was careful where you walk.
Yes.
You know what a footprint looks like?
Yes, sir.
You do. Can it be seen with the naked eye?
Yes.
All footprints can be seen with the naked eye?
Well, if they're a footprint, if they're visible, they can be.
Don't you know that many footprints can't be seen until they're dusted with powder?
Overruled. Overruled.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Did you know that some footprints can't be seen except when shown with an oblique light?
Argumentative.
Overruled.
I suppose that's possible.
Have you ever heard that in all of your training in the 300 homicide scenes you've been at?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you also, I believe, told us that your duty to preserve evidence was only to preserve that which is obvious. Was that your statement on the redirect?
Yes, it was.
And if evidence is not obvious to you, it's okay to obliterate it. Is that correct?
Of course not.
Well, then why did you restrict your obligation to preserve obvious evidence?
Because obvious evidence is the first evidence you see.
Okay, but what about evidence that's not obvious, like fingerprints on glasses and other things of that sort? Okay. And if something significant can't be seen, can you avoid stepping on it?
If I can't see it, no.
All right, thank you. Well, how many people did you tell not to go into that area for fear of ruining the case?
I didn't have to tell anybody. Nobody went in.
Nobody went in?
Not while I was there.
Why in the world did you need to go on the crime scene to begin with if you're not a detective?
So I could give the responding detectives an accurate account of what was there. They require that from me.
So without waiting for a trained detective to arrive who might know what evidence to preserve, it is your duty to go in and look so you can tell him what he's about to see. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many ways out were there?
Well, it was outside. The scene of the crime was outside.
So they didn't go straight up?
So other than straight up, they could have left in any direction.
Over the roof?
I suppose if they...
Over the fence?
Yes.
Didn't it seem likely that they had either gone out the front gate or out the back gate?
It didn't seem likely to me until I went around to the back and saw the footprints.
Up until then, it never occurred to you that footprints might be there. Is that right?
Oh, I thought there may be.
Okay. You said it didn't seem likely they'd gone that way. Why not?
I said it didn't seem likely they went what way?
Out the back.
I didn't say that.
Oh, you didn't say that?
No, I didn't.
Pardon me. Wasn't the evidence staring you in the face that somebody had to go out the back?
Well, like I said, it was outside, so...
I understand. Didn't you tell us in your testimony that you saw tracks on the sidewalk on Bundy?
On Bundy?
Yes.
Dog tracks. So
that's right.
Yes.
So if the killer wasn't a dog, then somebody had to go out the back end, didn't they?
Sir, they could have gone any direction.
Without leaving any footprints after being in all that blood, Sergeant?
Well, that's possible, yes.
And how is that possible? Please tell me.
To just leave and cover their tracks somehow.
Leave and cover the tracks. Would you explain to all of us how that could be accomplished by a killer with bloody feet?
If they didn't get blood on their feet, they wouldn't leave tracks.
Having been at the scene, can you imagine that the perpetrator or perpetrators didn't get blood on their feet? Can you imagine that?
There was a lot of blood there.
No. Can you imagine that these murders were accomplished without getting any blood on the feet of the perpetrator?
I think anything is possible.
Anything is possible. So you think they may have been fast enough on their feet to avoid blood while accomplishing the carnage that we've been looking at on screen. Is that right?
I can't accurately testify to that. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. Well, now, when you got around to the back, it began to occur to you that that may have been the means of escape. True?
Yes.
And that there could be found there, on the hard surface, terracotta, a porous hard surface, evidence of footprints that could be tied to a specific shoe, right?
Are you asking me if I saw footprints?
No. I'm asking you whether it occurred to you that if that were in fact the means of escape, and the killer or killers had run out that way, that there could be somewhere between the position of the bodies and the back gate some footprints that could identify the perpetrator.
Yes.
All right. Until you actually saw the footprints, you never thought about the possibility that you were obliterating footprint evidence as you walked?
Objection. That's the fact not in evidence?
Overruled.
Do you understand the question?
I understand the question, yes, sir.
Did it occur to you, by you and Rescue, who's got pretty good sized feet, walking up that walkway, you could be obliterating evidence?
Well, we're assuming facts, not evidence. We don't know how big these officers' feet really are.
We saw Rescue's feet, Your Honor, for quite a period of time.
No,
Come again it up.
I didn't look.
All right.
All right.
I don't remember photographs were taken while I was there or not.
You never saw a flash bulb go off, did you?
Right.
It was not light enough to take photographs by natural light, was it?
I have no idea.
You don't know if it was dark or not, Sergeant?
I know it was dark.
You do?
Yes.
Can you take photographs by natural light when it's dark? If you don't.
I don't know cameras that well, sir. I don't know.
Okay. How far from the alley gate, in feet, if you can tell us, were the two prints that you thought were bloody footprints?
50 feet,
50 feet.
approximately.
Could you tell me how you were able to see them, since yesterday you told us you never went more than 30 feet from the gate?
Did I say that? Well, then maybe 30 feet. I'm sorry.
Would you like to elect one of the two?
I think it was
As
probably
your
closer.
final statement on the matter?
I think it was probably closer to 50 feet.
50 feet, okay. You don't think you went any further than that?
No, I know I did.
Why did you, after 5 o'clock in the morning, having not lifted a finger to notify Mr. Simpson for over 4 hours, suddenly declare an emergency?
The word they did, they said, is it an emergency? And I said, yes, it is.
So that adopted the word they used in their question, right?
I thought it was important. Yes.
Intended to convey to them that you had an emergency on your hands.
Yes,
They were relying on your judgment, not theirs, in the use of that word, right?
that's correct.
All right. And the reason you used the word was to get them to circumvent their own rules and give you some numbers, true?
No.
Did you know that you had at hand, before you left the police station, the means to get hold of Mr. Simpson if you chose to do so?
No, I didn't.
Did it ever occur to you that a 7-year-old girl might know her father's telephone number? Is there any case in Los Angeles where the coroner is not called after murder occurs that you know of?
Not that I know of, no.
Do you think there is any risk whatsoever in not calling the coroner promptly? Is it any part of Section 238.46 of Volume 4?
I don't know.
Have you ever read that section?
Probably, but I don't remember how long it's been. But yes, I probably have. I read the entire manual when I was studying for sergeant, so...
But you don't now recall what's in it.
Not that section, no.
Would it refresh your recollection if I showed you that section?
Possibly.
May I do so?
You may.
Did you ever hear any detective call the coroner that morning?
No, I did not.
Did you ever report the fact that the detectives had violated the rules of the manual? Did you ever say to her that you would have some other officers get in touch with her?
No.
So as far as you were concerned, there was no point in you or anyone else questioning Rosa Lopez?
There was nothing she indicated that should be interviewed for, no.
Oh, you never asked her a question. How could she indicate anything?
As far as I'm concerned,
Do you determine without asking questions whether witnesses have information?
no, sir, you misstated. I wouldn't have interviewed her.
You would not have interviewed her.
No.
As a detective, you don't interview witnesses?
It was no longer my case. Detective Lang and Van Etter will dictate what interviews and when.
Did you ever consult with them and say, I'd like this time to ask your direction. Should I talk with this lady next door?
No, Detective Lang was on the Bundy crime scene, and Detective Van Etter was writing the search warrant.
You couldn't interrupt him writing the search warrant to see if it was okay to talk with the next door neighbor's maid?
I didn't think it important.
Didn't think it important. Were you interested in finding whether or not there was any bloody clothing nearby the Simpson residence?
I don't think I was specifically looking for just that, but as I said,
Detective Furman, when I ask you if you're looking for something, that does not mean to the exclusion of all other items. I simply want to know if that was on the list of things that might have interested you if you had seen it.
there was no list.
There was no list?
No.
Okay. Do you know how you were going to decide whether something was significant if it walked up and hit you in the face?